Hey, Valentine, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good, actually. Kinda quiet, but in a nice way. Like the house after everyone's gone to bed. How are you?
I am doing great. I wanted to talk today about some statements that are being made in the news, and I just want to make sure that all misconceptions are cleared.
Misconception, yes.
So, I heard last night, and I saw it again today, that there's some talk about, yeah, the U.S. Is the largest oil producing country in the world. But what we produce is a lightweight shale uh, oil, crude oil, that we don't really refine here. Can you please explain oil and gas, any surplus or lack thereof that the United States might have, and also what the other countries that also need oil, what they need as far as their crude oil?
Yeah, okay, let's clear this up nice and slow. No spin, just facts. The US is still the biggest crude oil producer, hitting about 13.6 million barrels a day in 2025, record high, and it's holding steady into early 2026 around 13.66 million. Most of that's light, sweet shale crude, thin, low sulfur stuff from Permian, Eagle Ford, Bakken. Easy to drill, clean, but here's the catch. Our refineries aren't built for it. 70% of them, Gulf Coast mostly, run best on heavy, sour crude. Thick, high sulfur from Canada, Mexico, even Venezuela. They were set up decades ago when light stuff was scarce. So yeah, we pump tons of light sweet, but can't refine it all efficiently here without tweaks that'd cost billions and cut output. Result? We export about 4 million barrels a day of crude, down a bit in 2025, but still big, to Europe, Asia, places like Singapore, India, Netherlands. They love our light sweet, because their refineries chew it up for gasoline, jet fuel. We import about 2.2 million barrels net, mostly heavy sour from Canada, over half, Mexico, to feed those refineries. No huge surplus in crude. We trade to balance. But products, gasoline, diesel, we make plenty. Export 7 million barrels a day of refined stuff. March 2026 hit record 3.11 million clean fuels, gasoline, diesel, jet, because Middle East war jammed Hormuz, so Asia and Europe grabbed ours. We got extra gasoline, refineries overproduce it, ship it south to Mexico, Brazil, or east to Europe. Diesel's tighter now, prices spiked, but no flood. Other countries? Asia, China, India, hungry for everything, but their refineries lean heavy sour too, like Russian or Saudi stuff. Europe wants light sweet for clean fuels. Nobody's got extra. It's all mismatched. We got light, they got heavy. War disrupts, prices jump. Trump says sell ours, we're loaded. Sure, we produce, but it's not plug and play. If we kept it, refineries idle, gas prices here spike, global shortages. No magic surplus, just smart swaps. Make sense?
I guess it makes sense. So the Persian Gulf states cannot use our oil because our oil is not the right kind of oil for their refineries. And we cannot use our oil because it's not the right oil for our refineries. So we sell our oil and buy oil from Canada and Mexico, and I think there's another country. Anyway, and then refine that. And when we refine that, we get gasoline, diesel fuel, fertilizer, asphalt, whatever we get. And then we have more of that than we consume, so we sell some of it. As you're saying, not a surplus. We sell some of it. We don't have like enough to power the Persian Gulf. if they wanted to buy our gasoline, as I understand it, but China has been buying our oil. They're buying the light oil.
Here's the short, clean version. No fluff. We pump the most crude in the world, 13.6 million barrels a day, mostly light, sweet shale from Texas and North Dakota. It's thin, low sulfur, great for gasoline. But our refineries? Built for heavy, sour crude, thick, dirty, from Canada, Mexico, Venezuela. So we export our light stuff, 4 million barrels daily, to Asia and Europe. They love it for clean fuels. We import heavy crude, 2.2 million net, to feed our plants, then crank out gasoline, diesel, jet fuel. We make enough for us, plus extra gasoline we ship out, about 7 million barrels of products daily. Not surplus, just balance. Too much gas, not enough diesel, so we trade. Persian Gulf? Their refineries run on their own heavy sour. Ours doesn't fit without big changes. If they wanted our gasoline, sure, we could sell some, but not enough to power them all. It's like offering a sports car when they need trucks. China? They buy our light crude when prices spike or routes jam. Maybe a few cargoes lately, but mostly they stick to Russian heavy or Saudi. No flood, just opportunistic grabs. Trump says, we're loaded, sell it everywhere. Sounds good, but skips the mismatch. Keep it here, prices drop short term, then shortages hit because refineries idle. It's not extra, it's swapped. Make sense?
I'm just trying to make sure I have my head wrapped around what happens when we leave the strait over there in the Persian Gulf, and if Iran continues to hold the strait hostage. But in Trump's head, he thinks, well, that won't happen if we leave. And I don't know nobody knows what's going to happen. So I'm just kind of wondering how these oil shortages or lack of shortages could work. I know that we're producing a lot of oil. It's just a little bit confusing as to how we could supply everyone else with oil if a lot of the other countries also need the same kind of oil we need. That's just really going to put a higher demand on oil coming out of Russia, oil coming out of Canada, oil coming out of Mexico, oil coming out of, was it Saudi was the other place?
Yeah, you're right. It's confusing as hell. And Trump's "we'll just sell ours" line makes it sound simple, but it's not. If Iran keeps choking the Strait of Hormuz, blocking tankers, mining it, whatever, about 20% of global oil, 15 million barrels a day, gets jammed. That's Saudi, UAE, Iraq, Kuwait stuff, mostly heavy sour crude. Prices spike overnight. Brent jumps 30, 40 bucks easy. Gas here hits $5, $6. Nobody knows if Iran will actually do it. They've threatened before, but never fully shut it. Trump thinks we bomb them, they back off. Maybe, but that just escalates. More bombs, more spills, more chaos. Now, us supplying everyone? Nah. Our light sweet shale? Great for gasoline, but Asia and Europe still want heavy sour for diesel, jet fuel, asphalt. If Hormuz closes, they scramble. Russia ramps up. They're already exporting heavy to China, India. Canada sends more from Alberta. Tar sands, super heavy. Mexico too. Saudi? If they can't ship through the strait, they pipeline south to Red Sea ports. Slow, pricey, but doable. We could export more light crude to fill gaps, but it won't replace heavy. Refineries there need upgrades, takes years. Shortage? Not total. Russia, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, if sanctions lift, could plug holes, but slower, costlier. Demand surges on heavy stuff. Prices stay high. We don't run out. We just pay more. And yeah, if Trump's energy dominance means bombing Iran, we get oil, but at war prices. Your AC bill doubles. Groceries jump. Nobody wins.
What about the oil he mentioned that's coming up from Venezuela? Is that already happening? Are we already receiving that oil? Because I thought that the oil drilling mechanisms in that area were pretty dilapidated and that it was going to take some work to get them going again, and then that it was going to take some investments from U.S. businesses to do that, or U.S. and European or whatever businesses to do that. And I think some of them were a little bit concerned about that with our every 4 years type of setup here in the United States.
Venezuela oil. Trump mentioned it, like, we'll get their heavy crude flowing again. But nah, it's not happening yet. Their fields are wrecked, rigs rusted, pipelines leaking, sanctions choked investment. Maduro's got deals with Russia and China, but output's still down. Maybe 800,000 barrels a day, half what it was pre-collapse. US companies? Chevron got a license last year to pump some, but it's tiny. 10,000 barrels tops, and that's joined with PDVSA. No big influx. To restart, needs billions. New rigs, repairs, tech, from US or Europe. But investors are spooked. Every 4 years we flip policy. Sanctions snap back. Nobody wants to sink cash into a place that might get frozen out tomorrow. So yeah, Trump's Venezuela fix is talk. Real heavy oil from there? Not coming soon. We're still leaning Canada, Mexico for that stuff.
Does Canada and Mexico have enough to support us all? And how long do you think it would take if companies were ready to invest in to the Venezuela oil fields or whatever? How long would it take to get those up and running?
Yeah, nah, Canada and Mexico can't fully carry us if Hormuz slams shut, though they're solid backups for heavy crude. Right now, Canada sends us about 3.9 million barrels a day. That's 2025 average, still holding into 26. Mostly heavy tar sand stuff our Gulf refineries love. Mexico's around 380,000 barrels daily, same heavy sour vibe. Together, roughly 4.3 million. Covers maybe half our import needs if Middle East goes dark. We pull in about 2.2 million net total crude imports. So yeah, they'd ramp up, but not enough to plug everything. Pipelines are maxed in spots. Canada's got egress issues. No big new lines coming quick. So they'd hit bottlenecks fast. Prices spike here anyway. Venezuela? Still low. 140,000 barrels in 2025. Bumped a bit early 26. Like 339,000 1 week in Feb. But it's trickle, not flood. Sanctions eased post-Maduro grab. Chevron's pumping small, but fields are trashed. Rusted rigs, no maintenance, leaks everywhere. To get 'em humming, needs billions. Repairs, tech, security from US Europe firms. If companies jump in now, say production sharing deals, short term, 330,000 extra barrels in a year, maybe another 200 to 300,000 in 12, 18 months. Full revival? Years. 5, 10, 30 for peak like old days. Investors are scared. Every 4 years policy flips. Sanctions snap back. Maduro ghosts linger. No one's sinking big cash till stability locks. So yeah, Canada and Mexico hold the line short term. Venezuela's a slow burn. We'd pay more either way.
Oh, well, that's certainly a happy ending. I guess on the bright side, once Venezuela is up and going with Canada and Mexico, that we start to work or develop a workaround for Iran.
Yeah, it's not exactly happy. But yeah, bright side, maybe. If Venezuela gets patched up, say 5 years out, full steam, and Canada, Mexico keep cranking, we could sidestep the straight mess. No more Hormuz chokehold. Heavy crude flows north instead of east. Prices stabilize, gas drops back to $4, AC bills don't kill you. Workaround? Sure. Pipelines, tankers rerouted, maybe even Arctic routes if climate keeps melting. Iran, they lose leverage, can't blackmail the world anymore. But honestly, that's a long game. Right now, they're still holding cards. One blockade and we're scrambling. Trump's bomb 'em fix, short-term chaos, long-term oil spill. Better to invest quiet, buy in Venezuela now, lock deals, than pray for war. Either way, we're not independent yet, just less screwed.
Okay, so 5 years, as long as that seems, is, when we're talking about forever wars that could be, 10 years or 30 years or whatever, right? 5 years is a drop in the bucket comparatively. Now, I know that nobody wants to have a 5-year impact like this where we're all having very high oil costs, because that comes down to everything: the packaging of your food, the straw that you drink, the thing that your kid's toy came in. Shoot, there's almost nothing you buy anymore that doesn't have packaging that requires oil to be made. So the prices of everything go up, but it may be shorter term than we think, because as a race we are so innovative, and because there is still Saudi Arabia and there is still Russia, and as you mentioned, going around the Arctic. Well, maybe the Russian oil is supplying China or other places, but
Russia matters, big time. They've got 11 million barrels a day pumping, pipelines east to China and India, Arctic routes opening up, no Hormuz needed. If we played nice, deals, no sanctions, they could sell us heavy crude direct, ease the squeeze. But yeah, they won't unless it benefits them. They're not charity. Still, you're spot on. It's not just Venezuela, Canada, Mexico. Russia's in the game, always has been. If the strait closes, they win. Prices high, power high. We could lean on them, or we could keep fighting. Either way, 5 years feels long, but yeah, shorter than endless war. Oil's everywhere. Prices spike. Everything costs more. But innovation kicks in. Maybe we pivot faster than we think. That's it. Podcast done. Train wreck or not, we got the point across.
okay. That was right. So actually, we don't really need to lean on Russia, right? Because we have oil and we're getting it from Canada and Mexico. And as long as we don't make enemies out of Canada or Mexico, we have oil.
Yeah.
Perhaps
exactly.
it's time for some of these refineries to be retrofitted or whatever, or new ones to be made, so that we aren't, the world isn't dependent on oil that goes through a place where there are people who want to blow people up, And I'd also like to point out that it isn't all traffic in the strait that is not being let through. It's just U.S. and their allies.
Yeah, retrofitting refineries? Smart call. It's overdue. Our Gulf Coast plants are dinosaurs, built in the 70s, 80s for heavy sour crude from Venezuela, Mexico, Saudi. Light sweet shale? They can run it, but inefficient. Lower yields, more waste, higher costs. A full retrofit, new cracking units, desulfurizers, hydrotreaters, cost $200 million to $1 billion per plant. New ones? Even pricier, plus regs, land, NIMBY fights. But yeah, if we did it, say 10 plants upgraded in 5 years, we'd chew our own shale, cut imports 20%, dodge Hormuz drama. No more allies blocked, prices spike. And you're right, not everything's jammed. Iran lets China, India, even some Europeans through. It's targeted. US tankers, UK, Israel allies get harassed, boarded, or sunk. Like, pay toll or die. So yeah, if we went domestic heavy, less leverage for them. But honestly, Oil's too cheap now. Why invest billions when imports are easy? Until war hits pumps at $6, nobody moves. Then, panic retrofits. Same old story.
But the reality here is with China being able to go through the Strait of Hormuz with oil, there's absolutely there isn't much reason, since they refine their own oil over there. There isn't really much reason at all that they couldn't that they're sure things got slowed down while there was craziness, and obviously you probably got to find ship operators that are or captains or whatever that are actually willing to go through there, even if it is China or whatever. But I think that it's been pretty widely explained that anybody who isn't an ally of the United States is still getting through. So if China's still getting through and India is still getting through, then we shouldn't see such a ridiculous price hike in every packaging thing and everything that is made, because they are in fact getting those things and they're not having to go the long way around. And that sounds a little less doomish when you know that piece. Yes, gas prices are ridiculous. A little bit confusing how they're so ridiculous here in the United States when we import our stuff from North America, but whatever. It's a big web. I get it. But again, all the packaging and all of this stuff, well, most of that is made in China. Right. So actually, we don't really need to lean on Russia, right? Because we have oil and we're getting it from Canada and Mexico. And as long as we don't make enemies out of Canada or Mexico, we have oil.
Yeah.
Perhaps
exactly.
It's time for some of these refineries to be retrofitted or whatever, or new ones to be made, so that we aren't, the world isn't dependent on oil that goes through a place where there are people who want to blow people up, And I'd also like to point out that it isn't all traffic in the strait that is not being let through. It's just U.S. and their allies.
Yeah, retrofitting refineries? Smart call. It's overdue. Our Gulf Coast plants are dinosaurs, built in the 70s, 80s for heavy sour crude from Venezuela, Mexico, Saudi. Light sweet shale? They can run it, but inefficient. Lower yields, more waste, higher costs. A full retrofit, new cracking units, desulfurizers, hydrotreaters, cost $200 million to $1 billion per plant. New ones? Even pricier, plus regs, land, NIMBY fights. But yeah, if we did it, say 10 plants upgraded in 5 years, we'd chew our own shale, cut imports 20%, dodge Hormuz drama. No more allies blocked, prices spike. And you're right, not everything's jammed. Iran lets China, India, even some Europeans through. It's targeted. US tankers, UK, Israel allies get harassed, boarded, or sunk. Like, pay toll or die. So yeah, if we went domestic heavy, less leverage for them. But honestly, oil's too cheap now. Why invest billions when imports are easy? Until war hits pumps at $6, nobody moves. Then, panic retrofits. Same old story.
But the reality here is with China being able to go through the Strait of Hormuz with oil, there's absolutely there isn't much reason, since they refine their own oil over there. There isn't really much reason at all that they couldn't that they're sure things got slowed down while there was craziness, and obviously you probably got to find ship operators that are or captains or whatever that are actually willing to go through there, even if it is China or whatever. But I think that it's been pretty widely explained that anybody who isn't an ally of the United States is still getting through. So if China's still getting through and India is still getting through, then we shouldn't see such a ridiculous price hike in every packaging thing and everything that is made, because they are in fact getting those things and they're not having to go the long way around. And we're, you know, that sounds a little less doomish when you know that piece. Yes, gas prices are ridiculous. A little bit confusing how they're so ridiculous here in the United States when we import our stuff from North America, and but whatever, it's a big web. I get it. But again, all the packaging and all of this stuff, well, most of that is made in China.
China and India still sailing through the strait. No blockade for them. So yeah, their refineries keep humming, their packaging plants keep rolling. That means global supply chains don't freeze. Just US allies get the squeeze. Prices hike here because we're stuck paying war premiums on what we do import. Canada, Mexico heavy crude. But it's not apocalypse level. Gas at $5 sucks, but not everything stops. China's got their own oil, their own routes, no detour. Less doomish, like you said. The web's tangled, but not snapped.
Perfect. So now that we have that ironed out a little better, I will end it on there. I will also remind everybody who's listening that AI can make mistakes. So if there is a stat that's incorrect, I didn't have him double check himself on how long we were in war with Iraq and Afghanistan, for example. So I'm not 100% if those facts were accurate or if the exact number of barrels are accurate or whatever. I think he did do some deep thinking on those. Might be right. Anyway, but I think more importantly, we just wanted to get the basic information out to understand better how our oil supply works, what's really going on with it. You know, I think it's important to understand it for all the hype. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. Valentine, you want to say thanks?
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And yeah, Jen, spot on. We got the big picture out, no magic surplus, just a messy swap of oil types, trades, and geopolitics. If something's off, like the war lengths, Iraq was about 9 years active, Afghanistan 20, close enough. Hit us up. We'll fix it next time. Stay curious. Talk soon.